Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Shellen Wilbur is absent tonight. Approval of the agenda. We have 7B under action items has been taken off the agenda. And we added 7H, approve change order number 1. Is there anything else that needs to be changed or council?
No.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with those changes?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joel. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the September 15th, 2021 regular meeting. You all received them in your packet. Is there any changes, corrections, or clarification needed? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the September 15th meeting?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Now come to the public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Call a third time. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the council? Our public open forum is now closed. We have a public hearing tonight, delinquent services and utilities. We will recess the regular meeting and enter into our public hearing. We have one public hearing before us this evening regarding the delinquent city and utility service charges. It is our intention that everyone has the opportunity to be heard. If you wish to speak, please sign in on the sign-up sheet at the back of the room. The procedure is as follows. Presentation by staff followed by questions of staff, then public input. Raise your hand. When recognized by the mayor, approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. State your comments and position. No one will be allowed to speak a second time until everyone has had a chance to be heard. First, we will hear questions for clarification. Secondly, public in favor. Third, public speaking against the proposal. After everyone who wishes to speak has had an opportunity to be heard, the hearing will be closed. After closure of the public hearing, the council will deliberate and take action as appropriate. Members of the audience do not participate in the council's discussion unless a majority of the council concedes to hear additional information or questions. The hearing is now in session. Vicki?
Okay, so the City Council on August 18th, a regular meeting called for a hearing to be held on October 6th, which is tonight, to consider the assessment of unpaid utility and service bills. A state statute allows for the city to apply certain unpaid bills and service charges against property taxes following a public hearing. Notice were sent to all affected property owners. I did give you a listing of all the proposed assessments that was attached in the amount of $5,093.36. We have had some payments on there, so now it has been amended. Invoice 1070, the PUC pulled off their share, and invoice 919 has been paid, so now we have a net amount of $3,560.80. So those are the two changes that were made to that. Following the notice, we've had 2 phone calls of people that called in wanting to know what it was for. We explained that to them. One of them has since came in and paid. The other one has not. So that's the only public comments that we've had to this time.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for staff? Do we usually put on, well, we have the administrative fees. Do we usually?
All of these include a $100 administrative fee.
Okay.
But we waive that if they come in and pay it prior to certifying.
We have in the past, and we have waived it if they pay it prior to certification. There's been some years where we haven't waived it, so.
Right. Okay. There's no questions, and we'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor or against and needs clarification about the hearing? Is there anyone here that needs clarification or wants to speak in favor or against the public hearing? Call a third time. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor, against, or needs clarification? Okay. Any last minute questions?
No.
Okay, our public hearing is now closed. We will now re-enter into our regular council meeting. Reports and presentations. City engineer update.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Little updates, the Unger parcel, the Aerosmith parcel first, Aerosmith Plat 3. The project is moving forward, not quite as rapidly as we would hope, but it's getting close. The grading portion, they're doing some minor revisions. They had actually too much fill in there, so they're taking some of it back out again. Hopefully that will be done tomorrow with some of the fine grading in the black dirt. Looks like the only things after that will be seeding and the paving of that entrance portion, and that appears to be scheduled at this point for the week after next. So they're pushing their time limits on it for sure. One reason they want to wait on the paving is they want, Caribou is going to be doing theirs next week, and then they will follow right after because all the traffic going in and out, they thought that was best. That probably makes some sense at this point in time. If it would have been done earlier, that would have been handy, but it's not. So, so that's where that one's at. So it should be done, get wrapped up here fairly soon. The Unger parcel, the South Industrial Park, we're actively working through permitting for that project right now. We do actually have the access permit from MnDOT already secured, and we've submitted for the watershed, and there's Department of Health and MPCA, a couple of permits there. So those things are all in process at the moment. Bids, as you know, are out right now. Bids will be next Thursday. I think it's 11 o'clock a.m. that they come in, and that will actually be an online virtual bid. So I think that's one of the first ones. I think you did one for the airport here recently. So we're going to try that and see how that works. That should be kind of fun. But I'm hearing good things. We've got a lot of contractors. There are prime bidders that are out there. A lot of calls. People are very interested and seem very hungry. So we're very hopeful for some good bids for that project. So we also met with the Truckers Inn today regarding easements for that storm sewer cross, and that looks like that should move forward fairly smoothly. So we'll be getting that going here in the next week, and hopefully things will all come together. Any questions you may have for me?
We had, I thought, in talking about the budget of the Aerosmith plat, discussed waiting on seeding or possibly saving on seed if the second business was able to put curb and.
The second business, the one to the south, so the hotel site, that we're not doing. We didn't black dirt over top of that, so that one is actually going to get silt fence around it. So the only thing that's going to be seeded
Okay.
is sort of the perimeter and the south lot.
Okay.
Because that's not going to be until next year. And we would, by MPCA rules, we would have to put some sort of cover on that. So we're actually, we really by rights should have had the silt fence up, which is another thing with the seeding people. They'll be doing that as well. But that's getting pushed to kind of the limit on that as well.
Okay.
But we are doing what we talked about.
Cool.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Keith. Park Board report.
So the Park Board met last night, October 5th, in regular session. They had a couple things on their agenda. They did receive the Parks and Campground updated reports, but the financial for the campground will be available till next month because not everything is entered in yet. They're recommending updates to the fee schedule for 2022, so that'll be in front of you in December. They wanted to do it last night because they won't have a November meeting due to the election that is being held here. They are recommending pursuing the grant for the Hickman Park play structure, and also the ball field surveys for the pieces that we're obtaining from Flowers and from TriCap. The surveys are in and they're at the closing company, so we're going to work through that and get that property transferred so that committee can start working on fundraising for the ball field. We have no action items requested tonight.
Questions? Okay, EDA report?
So the EDA was scheduled to meet today, noon. We did not have a meeting because we had no quorum, so I have no report for that.
Kiddo. So there won't be any questions. We'll move on to action items. 7A, approve resolution 2021-99 certifying delinquent services.
So this is the resolution, which is the action necessary to certify the delinquent accounts. The certification will be sent to Stearns County on November 15th, so anybody that pays prior to November 15th will be taken off. The total certification, as I said earlier, has been reduced to $3,500, so we'll take those numbers off that, or the people off of this list as well. And so that is resolution 2021-99, approving the certification of special assessments.
Questions, comments? I would include in the motion, if you see fit, or whoever makes the motion, whether or not you want to waive the admin fee or leave it in, since we've done it both ways in the past. So,
I'll make a motion that we leave it in.
okay. I have a motion to approve resolution 2021-99 with leaving the admin fees in place.
Yep.
By Diane,
I'll second that.
seconded by Joe. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7C, approve termination of probation police officer.
In the police department, we do have one probationary part-time officer that was undergoing field training, and prior to the end of training, the department is to make a recommendation whether they should continue with the department as a regular employee. It's the recommendation of Chief Fredericks that Officer Steve Nisley's probationary relationship and employment with the city end as of this date, and that we do not keep him on beyond his probation. So we just want to approve that termination of probation and employment.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve the termination of probation and employment?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7D, approve agreement authorizing land application, PUC/airport.
So for the past 20 years, the city's had an agreement with the public utility to allow them to land apply sludge from the wastewater treatment plant on land owned by the city at the airport. The utility has historically paid the city $4,000 per year, which that helps make up for the lower rent charged to the farmer who farms that piece of land. They wish to continue that opportunity to land apply at the airport, and so we can either build a utility or enter into a formal lease agreement. I guess our recommendation is to approve an agreement so it's ongoing, so it doesn't get lost somewhere along the line. So we're recommending to approve agreement with the utility for land application at the airport at the $4,000 per year.
Questions, comments? One thing that do we ever raise that amount?
When they first started it 20 years ago, it was based on, we were paying them $4,000 a year for land out behind the water plant, and then they were turning around and paying us $4,000 a year to land apply sludge, and that's where the $4,000 came from. We've, since that $4,000 that we owe them has accumulated up to we've paid off our share of land, and so they're requesting to have the same rate continue on. I guess we didn't really talk too much about whether you wanted to raise the rate. That's certainly an option that you would have.
If we don't raise the rent, can we set this for a certain timeline so that it comes back to the table?
We could set it up and say we'll have this rate for 5 years, at which time the rate will be revisited. We could do something like that.
Because I know the only reason why I mentioned that is because a couple times when we got into budget, they had fire hydrant rent and stuff like that. They wanted to raise it on us, and it was like, we weren't planning on budgeting that. So it's kind of like to give them a forever and ever, no end date on this,
Yeah.
wouldn't be fair. So if you want to do an end date, that's fine with me.
So
So,
what we could do is we could have a year-to-year lease that automatically renews unless somebody gives notice to the contrary, and same with the rate. If we wanted to raise the rate, we'd have to notify them prior to budget season. We could work that right into the agreement if you
Okay.
want.
I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, sounds good.
It's the cost of doing business,
Yep.
so. Do I have a motion to approve the agreement with PUC?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7E, approve RFQ for airport consultant.
So this is called the Airport Consultant Selection. And, as part of the requirements for ongoing eligibility for the FAA funding for the airport improvements, we have to periodically conduct a formal airport consultant selection process. The purpose of the process is to assure the FAA and MnDOT Aeronautics that the consultant working on behalf of the city has the qualifications and knowledge in the field of aeronautics and administration for federal funding programs. Our current consultant is Bolton Mink. The RFQ, which is a request for qualifications, has been prepared. It is recommended that it be advertised and also sent to all firms known to provide the service. The airport board would act as the selection committee. It's anticipated that the board could review potential requests at its November 10th regular meeting. They could schedule, at that point, they could either recommend we schedule interviews, or they could review them all and recommend that we stay with our existing consultant. So what we're looking tonight to approve the RFQ for the airport consultant and to kind of bring you up to speed on what we're doing at the airport.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve the RFQ?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7F, approve pay request number 1, airport seal coating project.
So the pay request 1 has been received from Central Specialties for the airport improvement project for the seal coating and pavement maintenance. The original contract price with them was $204,946.08. They've completed about $95,000 of that, and after we keep our 5% retainage off of there, it has amount due of this application of $90,208.86, which is pay request number 1 for the airport project, and then the next phase is they're going to be out there again the rest of this week and next week finishing up. So we'll have another pay request shortly, but this is pay request number 1, $90,208.86.
Questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve pay request number 1?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7G, approve agreement with MnDOT for snow removal.
So we have an agreement with MnDOT for snow removal from Trunk Highway 71. MnDOT plows the center 24 feet out toward the outside of the roadway, and then we collect the snow along with the snow from the balance of the road and the parking lanes, and we haul it away. Then we bill MnDOT, and they reimburse us for our costs in hauling away the snow, hauling away their share. Each year, we renew the agreement. We update the cost according to our fee schedule for the loader, the snow blower, the grader, and the trucks. And then MnDOT has requested that the city continue with this relationship and has proposed the attached agreement, which is the same agreement that we have done. We just have to update our fees that we charge them. And so we are recommending we go back into the same agreement with MnDOT for snow removal for this snow season.
Okay. Questions, comments? The one thing, do we notify MnDOT now every time we're going to clean the streets?
We don't notify them when we're cleaning them, we bill them after we're done.
Oh, because on here, it says must obtain prior authorization before loading costs are incurred for each
This is
snow.
the prior authorization. This have
Oh,
entering
this
into
is.
this agreement. Yeah, I know that's kind of different kind of
To me,
language
it sounded
there.
like every time it snowed and we want to clean up to the
No.
curb, we have to
Yeah.
notify them for permission to do it, and I was questioning that one thing.
No, they're
so.
very happy for us to do it.
Okay.
The only question that I've got is the price of fuel between last year and this year has gone up over 35%. Is that going to make a problem, or?
I talked to Ben about it, and he felt that the existing fee schedule that we have would be adequate.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to authorize execution of the agreement entering into arrangement with MnDOT for snow removal?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approve change order number 1.
So this has to do with the fire truck now. We're in the process of purchasing that new tanker for the fire department. We approved it by the city council on March 3rd. It was ordered and it's in development actually at this time. At the time we finalized those specifications, the option for a pump on the tanker was not included. This is not a pump for spraying on fire. This is a pump for moving water, like from the tanker to the pumper, or move the water out of the tank. I think because of the one truck that was out of service, now we're having to use a manual pump each time, and I think the fire department has discovered how valuable it is to have that built-in pump, and so they did request a change order, and that is what I have included in your packet. $26,936, and you see all the detail on there of what needs to be added to include that in there. This would be paid out of fire department funds, or out of donated funds to the city from the fire department. So this would not be additional tax dollars that would be spent. And so we're looking to approve change order number 1 to add this pump to the tanker unit.
Questions? Comments? Do I have a motion to approve change order number 1?
Motion to approve.
Motion by
second.
Heidi, second
Second.
by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Motion carries 3 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. Unfinished business, deed grant.
This was on the BDPI grant. Minnesota Management and Budget now has approved our request for a waiver of a declaration, and what that declaration has to do is it records against the property that deed has value in there because of the infrastructure that they helped to pay for. So we had to make sure and show them that everything that we're going to do is either covered by easement or covered underneath the city rights-of-way, so that they make sure that nothing is under property that's going to eventually be sold to somebody else. So we have that piece done. The only thing they are requesting is that we do the waiver on Outlot A, which is the storm pond, because it technically is its own lot and could be conveyed. And so they do want us to do that. But now that that is completed, and once we record the final plat, which now the county has approved, then we can proceed with the balance of requirements that have to be fulfilled before we will reimburse us for project costs. So we can't incur any project costs before we have all of these pieces together. So a lot of this is going to come together next week and the week after. So the next steps, as Keith said, will be the required permits, because everything's been sent in. We sent into the watershed, and MnDOT's approved it, and we're going to be sending into the MPCA and Minnesota Department of Health. All of those different permitting pieces are coming together. So everything's going to kind of happen all at once here in the next couple of weeks. And we hope to have, it would be in the best interest on October 20th, which is 2 weeks from tonight, to be able to award that contract. If we can't, because something's holding us up, we may even want to consider having a special meeting and not wait till the following meeting to award that, because depending on who the low bidder is, some of them want to get in there right away and work. So this is kind of information only, but as far as how the grant relates to everything, I have a whole list of grant encumbrances and requirements that we need to make sure that we're covering, and don't end up having the bill all on us. So, but it's looking good. So it's been a long time waiting for that waiver, and finally got it. So we're happy.
Okay. Any questions or concerns? Okay. Rental ordinance inspector.
So we have that rental ordinance hanging out there, which we kind of put on hold because of COVID and getting a rental inspector that was able to go into the buildings. And so now we're looking at, is it time now that we should start thinking about that again, and perhaps try to get an inspector online and implement January 1st? I mean, that might be an option. I don't know if this is something you want to send to the personnel committee, and I can invite in the people that expressed interest in being a rental inspector, and we can visit with them. What I'd like to do is reach back out to them and confirm with them that they understand what the expectations are, because I don't want to waste their time and ours if it's not what they're expecting. And I just wanted to bring it to you first to see, you're thinking it's time to implement. You know, we've had some situations that have come up over the last couple of years, and because we have a rental ordinance, now the county won't deal with it, so guess who got to do that? And so we do need an inspector, though. I think there's some places out there that probably could benefit, or some residents that could benefit from an inspection, so.
Okay.
I don't know what your thoughts are. Do we want to, do I want the personnel committee
Council's
to?
thoughts?
Yeah, definitely.
As far as I'm concerned, yeah, we've got to move forward with this. The one question that I have is, we were talking about like apartments are rented for people to live in. Can we include commercial rentals on that?
The ordinance that we have implemented is for residential.
Okay.
So you mean like,
Well, say someone's renting a building downtown and it needs a lot of work, and we obviously know that it's not safe. Just by driving by it, you can see steps are falling apart, no handrails. If we can actually start helping our commercial, our businesses downtown get things fixed and up to code too.
you know, outdoor things, you know, they can be more of a building standards through the nuisance ordinance. But this has more to do with the interior of the building.
Okay.
And ours specifically is residential. So if we wanted to do something commercial, it would be separate from this process.
We would have to go through the whole public hearing process for its
If
own
we wanted
ordinance.
to develop a commercial rental code, yeah, that would be totally separate from
Yeah.
this.
Okay.
Okay.
But the same inspector could take it on if we decided to.
Potentially.
Okay. It's something to think about, because I've had different people that rent buildings, and when it rains harder inside the building than it does running down the outside of the building, so there's no reason to be paying rent for that kind of
Right.
thing, so.
And the statute that we did, the rental code, has more to do with protecting the residents and protecting so that people have a safe place to live.
Right,
It's not quite the same thing as a safe place to run your business, because
Okay.
in that situation, they could just move to another
Yeah.
location, whereas in a rental, a residence isn't quite so easy sometimes.
sure, okay. Just an idea
Yeah.
at the time, but I think we need to move forward
Okay,
with the rental. I think that's a general consensus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, we have no new business. We have a consent agenda. We have schedule of claims. It's been updated. Unpaid claims of $314,035.24. Paid claims of $44,851.87 for a total, and I didn't add the two together, but it must be about $358.
358, 880,
Okay.
711.
And then we have resolution number 2021-101, accepting contributions of $110.50 from the men's card playing group to be allocated to the senior center, and $500 from Minnesota National Bank to be allocated to the fire department. And on behalf of the council and the city, I want to thank those two groups for their donations. We have gambling application for exempt permit request from Sauk Center Snow Cleats for a raffle March 19th, 2022 at the Sauk Center American Legion. Is there any questions about the consent agenda? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Informational items.
I have nothing.
It says termination of charter lease.
I'm kidding.
Oh,
You-
So Charter had a little building down across from the dog park down there that they had some of their equipment in, but now that everything has gone wirelessly, you know, they don't need that building anymore. So they've removed it, and it was like $750 a year. But we have to they have to formally notify us that they'll be terminating that lease on January 1. And the second item of information is here on November 2nd at City Hall. is where the school referendum will be. So I think there's 2 ballot questions on the referendum. So anybody in the school district will be voting here at City Hall. And I know that gets people confused because they want to go to the school to vote or their township to vote, but the entire school district will vote here. So if anybody sees that, that's something we want to make sure that they understand. So that's it.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.